Chairman and members of the Jamaica Cancer Society, St. Elizabeth Branch. Our patron, the Honorable Beryl Rochester, CDJP Custos Rotilorum to the parish of St. Elizabeth. Our guest speaker, Dr. Susan Shirley Newham. Other specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can't believe it's been 1 year already. But it's an absolute pleasure to be here with you all at the annual general meeting of the Jamaica Cancer Society St. Elizabeth Branch. At this time, I hereby call this AGM to order and proceed to the devotional exercise which will be done by Reverend Orlando Gale. Please make him welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Let me first start by expressing my gratitude for being invited to join in your celebration today, your annual general meeting. As we gather to have our devotion, I invite us to reflect on the theme that God heals directly, and God also heals through doctors. God heals directly, but God also heals through doctors. A reading from the Word of God, written in the Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 7, beginning at verse 14. When Jesus entered Peter's house, he saw his mother-in-law lying in bed with a fever. He touched her hand, and the fever left her, and she got up and began to serve him. That evening, they brought to him many who were possessed with demons, and he cast out the spirits with a word, and he cured all who were sick. This was to fulfill what he had spoken through the prophet Isaiah. He took our infirmities and he bore our diseases. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
When one thinks of healing, one of my favorite hymns that come to mind is hymn number 308 in the hymnal. For the healing of the nations, Lord, we pray with one accord, for a just and equal sharing of the things that earth affords, to a life of love in action. Help us rise and pledge your word. And then verse 2 for me sums up what healing is really about. Lead us forward into freedom. From despair your word release, that redeemed from war and hatred, all may come and go in peace. Show us how through care and goodness, fear will die and hope increase. If one is really to experience healing, healing, my friends, is not only something that has to do with the physical body. It must also address the emotional well-being of the person as well. Healing, my friends, can be done through doctors, but God heals as well. As we reflect on the text that was read, Matthew chapter 7, 14 through to 17, we see where Jesus, as the greatest physician, healed and touched the lives of many. He started first with his mother-in-law lying in a bed. And as he went over to her, he held her by the hand, and the fever left her. Following this, the text tells us that many were brought to Jesus who were possessed with demons. He cast out spirits with a word. And the high point of this passage, he cured all who were sick. And this was to fulfill what was spoken through the prophet. So for reflection today, my friends, I ask of us to reflect on the question: what illness do we have of which we need healing? Even as we have today's meeting for the Jamaica Cancer Society, right away persons may say that cancer is one of the worst illnesses that we may have. Whereas they have found treatments for many. Once cancer comes to mind, many are anxious and worried. But my friends, today we can get that calm assurance that there is hope. Hope in the fact, my friends, that God has blessed doctors with the knowledge, understanding, the gift of wisdom, so that they can know and treat these conditions. As a result, my friends, for many, cancer is no longer a life sentence. Through treatment, many have been healed. And for this, we give God thanks. And in the midst of our treatment from doctors, my friends, I want us to always remember to never leave God out of the picture. Never hesitate to cry out to God for that healing that you need. Never hesitate, my friends, to let God know what is on your heart and what is on your mind. God can heal and touch us directly. So just as Jesus took this woman by the hand and the fever left her, so it is that Jesus can touch and heal us. It is to do with our faith and our belief and trust in God. And finally, my friends, while we work on the physical, we must remember to also be concerned about the emotional well-being as well. And this is where that hymn that I started out comes in very handy for me. To a life of love in action, help us rise and pledge our word. You see, my friends, if it is that we are going around and just be concerned about the physical well-being, we must remember that the mind is powerful. Once the mind is aware that, look here, there is a way out, then there is hope. Once the mind can say, I am not going to give up, then we can press on. Setting our minds at ease. Recognizing, my friends, that we no longer have to be in despair, but we can trust our God. That is also healing. And so I want to encourage us all, my friends, to continue to be a message of hope. Continue to be that messenger who offers words of encouragement to others who are going through this. The treatments are not easy. And I can say that because my own mother is a cancer survivor. The chemo treatment is not easy. But what we can do, my friends, is help them to set their minds at ease. To give them hope, to say, don't give up, continue to press on. God is with you. As Jesus healed many in this text, so it is that he continues to heal many of cancer. And so, my friends, as we continue to pray for doctors, or nurses, and other healthcare professionals, let us also pray and put our trust in God, who is the greatest physician. And let us, my friends, continue to be that messenger of hope, so that all who are going through this great ordeal can have that faith, that trust in God, to say, I dare not give up, because my God has not given up on me. Amen.
Amen.
I invite us to sing the prayer chorus. Trust in the Lord with all of thine heart, and lean not to thine own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. Trust in the Lord with all thy heart, and lean not to thine own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. Let us pray. Healing God, we give you thanks and praise for the ministry of doctors and other healthcare professionals. We give you thanks, O God, for those who do research, so that more information can be garnered about cancer and its treatment. May we, O God, as a people, never hesitate to put our trust in you as
It's a pleasure for me to be here this afternoon and to greet you. So I'm so disruptive, invasive, and ever so pervasive. I don't know of any other bad adjectives to call cancer, but it's not anything to play with, you know. And I speak from experience. I've been a caregiver for a cancer patient. And you know, it seems like every day we hear of someone else. And we also hear of new types of cancer. Some places that I hear know that persons have cancer. I never thought of it. Honestly, never thought of it. Cancer in the eye, almost. And I'm pretty confident that each of us here has been touched or has had some dealing in some way with cancer. Perhaps a family member, a friend, or a neighbor. We have seen it. And it's, like I said, it's not nice. And every day it seems more and more young people, to me anyway, it seems like younger people, more younger people, that's the correct saying, are being impacted by cancer these days. Last week I heard about a 35-year-old young man who was diagnosed and died within 2.5 weeks. Yes, pancreatic. It is getting more and more. Let me go back to use the word invasive in our society. And I believe that those who face it are superheroes. We have a survivor here this afternoon, Mrs. Sharon Williams Brown. You're a hero now. Yes. You know, in and around cancer, sometimes you find the most amazing people. Even though they say, well, they're really not amazing, it's just something they have to do. Whether it's a caregiver or a patient. Sometimes you visit a patient to encourage them, and when you leave, based on how positive they are, you are the one who feel encouraged. You don't feel like you have encouraged them, they have encouraged you. So yes, we have some very positive people who are going through cancer. And you and I, learn some very profound lessons, or we can, from them. And these lessons make us better persons. For me, there is no greater feeling than when you know that you have made a positive difference in someone's life, especially a cancer patient. And so just as cancer affects everyone in different ways, each of us has a power to take various actions to reduce the impact that cancer has on individuals, on families, on neighbors, and on communities. And while our medical professionals do their very, very important best to treat the patients, you and I have to be working in partnership with them on the ground, helping the patients to make a difference. Your support, our support, is invaluable to the cause. Whether it's raising funds or going out to give talks in our communities. Mrs. Cheddar, she goes to the clinics and do the pap smears and all the other tests. There's a special place in heaven for people like you. I think there's a song such as that. So today I want to encourage you not to be weary while doing. Please, you will be rewarded if you faint not. That's what the Bible says, right, Father Reed? Yes, we will be rewarded. So let's renew our commitment today. It's an annual general meeting. Let us use it to give God thanks for all that He has done, all that He's going to be doing, and to renew your commitment to this great cause. Once again, congratulations and commendations to you as you continue your efforts to encourage the prevention and treatment of cancer. I want to wish you all the success in all your endeavors for 2025 and beyond. God bless you all. And I'd like to ask to be excused. Yes, eat and go. I have, unfortunately, to journey to Kingston immediately I leave here. My bag is already in the car. So With your permission, I ask your forgiveness.
Master of Ceremony, the Honorable Colonel Rochester, Custos Rotorium, Mr. Michael Leslie, Acting Executive Director, guest speaker, Dr. Suzanne Shirley Newham, consultant pathologist, University of the West Indies. Ladies and gentlemen, am I correct? Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I have to pause and look, because almost everywhere I go, the ladies seem to dominate the audience, which is not necessarily a good thing, because we have to have equal gender, I believe, as we all share in these kind of events. I must commend the committee, the executive committee, for keeping alive Cancer Society in this parish of St. Elizabeth. And I say it because when you think about the number of such organizations in Jamaica, we are very fortunate, and we have a committed group of people, because I was just confirming with Mrs. Cheddar just now, there are only 3 parishes that have such a group. Only 3. Yes, and St. Elizabeth is one of the fortunate ones. And the thing is, and I wish
To just have their mammograms done.
One case where she did a long time. And we went on so far.
Still don't understand. Looking back, I'm good at forgetting, so I guess that's why I'm not sure. But for some reason, looking back, I'm not sure why, I missed my mammograms. I've been pretty good about doing them every year, and for some reason I missed them for more than 2 years. When I went back and I got the mammogram done, I was told that there was something which the doctor wanted to double check, because just as he put it, how did he put it again? But basically, just to be very, very sure there was nothing wrong. When he's very sure there was nothing wrong, ended up with a needle biopsy and all sorts of other tests, and yes, I had breast cancer. That was actually in 2012, and today, well not today, but March 2025 we're in, and that makes it 13 years since diagnosis and surgery. So in my case, the biopsy revealed that it was stage 2. I was positive for estrogen and positive for something I'd never heard about called HER2, H-E-R-2. And I was like, what that mean? Only to hear that that was the type of cancer that required a year of extra treatment after chemo, and that at that point did not have such a wonderful prognosis. Well, We got into action, got seen by the doctor, started the chemo, went through all the infusions, and the medication for those of us who have HER2 type is horrible. I don't know if it still is, I haven't checked on it recently. But in those days, it was horribly expensive. And sometimes not always easy to access. So thank God for my husband, he would go down to the pharmacy, sit all day if necessary, to be able to make sure we had the Herceptin for when I went into doctor. So the rounds of chemo, if there's anybody here who's had them, what people sometimes refer to as a red devil. So, there's a particular infusion with a red, I can't remember what its name is now, but whichever one of them it is, it can give some people a hard time. I was blessed, I didn't have too many symptoms from it. I was able to work right through. And so again, it really was something which was difficult, but was manageable by the help of many different things. And so you'd ask me what helped. And I'd say what helped, one of our speakers was actually our minister who said, the physicians and then other things. Giving the physicians the F instead of the PH. I'm going to alliterate and just say, good physicians, I was blessed, I had a good doctor. And for me, good doctor means you answer my questions. Yeah. And I would go into every single appointment with a long list of questions. I write down every symptom, and so I have a question, I write it down. And I go in and I say, Doc, after she does her poking around, blah, 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 and she would answer. That for me was truly helpful. I felt that I was being informed, what I needed to know was being told to me, what I wanted to know about anyway. And then my 3 proper F's now. Faith for me was a really important thing. And so trusting God was something which, when I'm down, when I'm wandering and I'm a little anxious, no matter what time of night or day, I could turn to God, I could pray, I had that reassurance that God's presence was with me. And I still remember a really helpful thing when the elders from my church came. I think it was before surgery, and they prayed with me that evening. And that meant a lot to me going into surgery. Then the other F was family. I mentioned my husband, who was a total rock. I give God thanks for that man. Because, as I said, he'd stay whole day if need be, down at the government pharmacy. He was with me, totally. The pharmacist that knew him so well after a while that it was like, come, Mr. Brown. Right? I was picking him out to the line and say, all right, yeah, we have the stuff for Mrs. Brown. You can go now. But really grateful, not just for him, but for all the family. I come from a family that's bonded and everybody rallying around. Eternally grateful for that. And then friends. Again, friends, whether just my regular friends, work friends, extremely supportive. And I mentioned in particular 2, probably should be 3 of them, but 2 of them, 2 women who had also had breast cancer. And the minute they heard about it, they called me. And they said, Sharon, we're here. And I'd heard one of them talk about, because she was in the same church I'm in, and she would speak about our women's sessions about what was happening to her. And she just stood by me. Yes, this is what happens. No, man, don't worry about that. I went through the same thing here, so you handle it. That was just so very, very helpful. And then the other person, because up to that point, I had not met anybody who had HER2. And then my friend's sister returned to Jamaica, and she had walked that route. And so again, she would talk to me and take me through that, and they were both really rocks for me. And I see there's a candle lighting later on, because they both passed now. And it does, what they helped me with meant so much to me as I continue to live my life. But it also says to me, it is possible that one day you go the same route. You have to be prepared for that. So live fully while you're alive. That's what I learned from them. And so now I'm very grateful. Grateful for life, grateful for the things I have even learned through having cancer. because I have learned a lot. I'm aware of cancer still, but it's not at the front of my mind. It was very much at the front of my mind for the first 3 years, probably for the first 5 years almost. But no, part of my history, part of certain things I have to check, but not the front of my mind. I do know that I need to take good care of myself, not always being as good a job as I should. Confession is good for the soul, maybe it will help me do better. But also, I'm willing and able to walk the path with others. And so I've tried my own best to reach out to others when I hear that they have cancer as well too, particularly breast cancer. And it's been a privilege to walk with some people on that particular journey. And again, just the fact of my profession, I'm a psychologist, and so both my personal experience and by my training, that I believe has really put me in a position where I can be of particular help. So, Cancer Society in Kingston, I've said to them, you know, something happens, feel free to link someone with me. And so sometimes they've called me and they've linked, and that same offer is certainly here for the St. Elizabeth Cancer Society. I want to end because I dabble in poetry, and I want to end with, very briefly if I allow, do I have 3 minutes more, Miss Marjorie, or 1? If it's 1, I'll read 1. Yeah, 1, okay. All right, so I'm going to read the first poem, I think the first poem I wrote, which says, Whose Hands? And that was written in April. Remember I said I'd had surgery in March. And it says, sit up, put on my clothes, back to the chair to wait for the verdict. What will he tell me about these cells that have grown unwanted in my body? Days later, in a hospital gown, being wheeled into the theater, I say to him what I only thought before, my life is in your hands. And now, with chemo starting, the thought returns as I watch her, making decisions that may determine my future. My life is in her hands. But tonight, as I replay events, remembering others who have traveled this road, the truth comes quietly to me as I realize my life is in God's hands. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
For such a triumphant story, I think we need a bigger round of applause than that. Wonderful indeed. And now we'll move to something that is reminiscent of what she just spoke about, and we will do it through a candlelighting ceremony.
We're lighting this candle for those that we have lost, and this candle also recognizes survivors and their continued walk in faith.
It came up at first.
It did come up.
With some assistance.
I have matches. You know this.
Yeah, thank you so much, honestly. You can be sure that
Bear with me.
no matter how basic the tech, something good is going to go wrong. So we resort to old fashions, probably more reliable things. Okay.
So we carry both is something and double up.
This I'm more used to, so hopefully we shall have a look. There's a breeze. Okay, let's try.
We walk in faith. And if the light goes off, we can relight it. Thank you.
Round of applause, please. All right, so we now move to the reports and adoption of reports. We will first have a report from the chairman.
That's it.
Okay, all right, thank you. Please put your hands together as she comes.
My report might look long this year. It's longer than usual because I have two little special parts in it. The St. Elizabeth branch is celebrating 39 years this year. And as you know, we're a non-profit organization with a mandate to fight and defeat cancer in all its forms. This candle that we lit today, we are especially remembering our driver, Mr. Denzel Rowe. Many of you will have known him, or many of you will have known the Cancer Society, the little red car that you would have seen him in as he carried our nurses to and from the clinics. I'm trying to make this as brief as I can. He served the branch faithfully and reliably for over 20 years. His loyalty, dedication, work ethic, and sense of humor are surely missed. We remember others we have lost during this past year: Janetta Alexander, Blossom Mulgrave, and Kathleen Lodge. They all served as dedicated members of the Malvern Monroe zone of the branch. So we are remembering them through this candle as well. At our last AGM, Dr. Vishpasula, our guest speaker, reminded us of many aspects of cancer and what we could do to fight against it. Fern told us about the free mammograms that are available, but I think she's extending it to all women in Jamaica. They're extending them to all women in Jamaica now. I mean, that's amazing. No one has an excuse not to do a mammogram. Please do your mammograms. Saves your life. We have many survivors with us. We have several survivors with us this afternoon as well. 2024 was a successful year for us as we continue to adapt to changing circumstances. We continue to run our monthly pap smear screening clinics at 7 health centers in the parish. Women access the screening at a very affordable price. It's now $1,300 at the clinics, and if we do outreach, we charge $1,500. The nurse does breast examinations at the time of the screening, and we are depending solely on Nurse Cecile Fraser-Miller for nursing service. And we are continuing. Mr. Brissett, I don't know if you can assist us at all. We have been searching for other nurses, midwives, who can possibly work with us. Many of them would be retired. We give them a stipend, but they do have to keep their registration. If anyone knows of anyone who might be willing to assist, we'd appreciate knowing about it. It's one of the challenges we have in continuing to run the pap smear clinics. We need more nurses. Right, our pap smears, when we do pap smears, they're sent to head office and the slides are read in a very timely manner. I think this is appreciated by people in the parish who do not always get their pap smears back as quickly as they would like. Miss Edith Bear Cheddar, she's in charge of record keeping and is also a public relations officer. Mrs. Kerry Ann Joseph, who is here with us today, it's nice to see you, Kerry. And she's our former clerical assistant, but she often ends up planning a few outreach clinics throughout the year, so we appreciate that. And Mrs. Cheddar is also assisted by Margaret Blackwood from time to time. We step in when Mrs. Cheddar cannot be at the clinics. We look forward through headquarters in getting sponsorship through the NHF and other organizations for various types of screening in the coming year. Sometimes from them we get pap smears free for women, or PSAs for men. I hope we'll get some this year. We especially thank Nurse Fraser-Miller and Mrs. Cheddar for their dedication and hard work. I don't know if you have the report in front of you, but our attendance this year was 1,056 women were screened at the 7 clinics and through some outreach. Unfortunately, it's a little less than last year, because of the effects of burial. 2 of our clinics were dislocated, and we weren't able to perform the regular pap smears we would have done for them. If you look, we have, of the 1,056 ladies, 973 were normal. If you do have a look at the sheet, you will see those that weren't quite normal as well had other reasons for not getting the results back. To meet regularly. In the past year, they have had a can or tag drive, a tea party, and through the tea party, they assisted persons suffering from childhood cancer this year, and they handed over funds to the branch. And on Heroes Day, they had a very successful and enjoyable 5K run-walk event at Stets. We walked from Stets through the town and then back to Stets. It was a lot of fun. I hope that we were planning it for every Heroes Day, the Monday. Is it always on the Monday, Dr. Mack, or
yes, yes.
It's on the Monday, right? And the zone has helped to bring awareness and visibility to our group. Continue to walk the walk Santa Cruz zone. The Marvin Monroe zone continues to offer support to survivors in the area, but it hasn't been very active at all. We're also looking forward into re-establishing a zone incorporating areas of South St. Elizabeth, possibly with Monroe and with people in South St. Elizabeth. Several persons have expressed interest. I'd like to make special mention of a past executive committee member today, Mrs. Joy Keane. You able to stand, Mrs. Keane? She waving to us.
I was just quarreling down here to Mrs. Thanks very much, my dear, and I'll continue once my feet keep me going.
Unfortunately, she has been unable to attend any meetings in the past year. She has been a beacon of light to cancer patients, particularly in the Malvern Monroe area, where she ably led the Malvern Monroe zone for many years. She championed the Greta Williams Cancer Care Fund, that's Sharon's, named after Sharon's mom, which we use to assist cancer patients when we can. She arranged visits to the sick and shut-in, arranged outings and fundraising activities. Through her leadership, the zone tea parties were legendary and so much fun. She worked for the zone alongside Mrs. Beryl Cameron, who continues to serve on the executive committee. Mrs. Keene's organizational and cooking skills also helped to make many of the executive committee activities and functions a success. Thank you for your years of service, Mrs. Keene. Appreciate it. Through the Greta Williams Cancer Care Fund, we have continued to offer financial assistance to several cancer patients. October is our busiest month. Sharon Baptist Church hosted us on a day that was also prefects. It was prefects week, and prefects from several of the schools were there. And partly because of our presence at the service, we were contacted by several schools which made presentations to us at a later date. Manchester High's Crochet Club, the Cartrick College, Black River High School's Interact and Key Clubs, and Hampton School's Student Council Body. We have also heard from a few other schools, but we haven't gotten any presentations yet. I expect that they will get back to us soon. In October, Mrs. Coke, Edna, of the executive committee, she gave out assembly here, but there were hundreds of children. And our PRO, Edith Cheddar, gave a very informative interview through Island Auto Parts Limited that was posted on Instagram and Facebook, and it received a good deal of traction. And contributing to us or by hopefully becoming part of a zone. She also took part in a healthcare at Lacovia High School. Several members of the team participated in Black River Day, where we had a desk and brochures. We encouraged people to do their regular tests and give other information as requested. And we also used that event for fundraising. We also had an information desk at St. Beth's Pharmacy in Black River. St. Beth's Pharmacy is one of our special fundraising items. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and is also the month where we do most of Mrs. Leonie Lemar continues to lead in our October fundraising efforts. Just some information from the treasurer. It costs $15,500 per day to operate a clinic. If we don't have the full number of people paying for the pap smears, Leonie, what's the amount that we need to have? A minimum of how many patients? 16? How many patients we need to have at each clinic to cover the cost?
Minimum 25.
Okay. And the slides cost $550 to be processed. From our fundraising, last year we collected $540,000. We continue to cover our expenses. Head office audits our banking, our other banking. As a totally voluntary organization, we continue to struggle financially. We have to pay our record keeper and our nurse, and we have to pay for the upkeep of our motor vehicle, as well as for the slides to be read. We are grateful for the assistance we receive from head office and the many discounts and guidance that they give us to assist us in providing screening for the most vulnerable among us. We hope to keep the pap smear charges low. $1,300 compared to when you go into a doctor's office is a big, big saving. Even if you have your National Health Fund card, the $1,300 is still nothing compared to what you have to pay most of the time. We're happy for any support we receive and thankful to those of you who have decided to come on board. Teamwork is the mantra of our executive committee, and the work of every member is appreciated. I haven't mentioned them by name yet, but special thanks to all team members, including, and this is how I think of them, our media specialist over here, Ms. Claudette Snowley, our very able secretary, Judith Hendricks. She works very quietly in the background, keeping us organized. Our protocol officer here today, who fits in when he's needed. Cynthia Hill, I don't know, Mrs. Cynthia Hill, you're here somewhere, Mrs. Hill? She's here. Where are you, Mrs. Hill? I'm not seeing you. Hiding behind? Okay. And Sharon Dasman, pharmacist from Black River State West Pharmacy. They have also been assisting the committee where they can. The Jamaica Cancer Society St. Elizabeth Grant certainly works as a team, and we share the goal to eliminate cancer as a major health problem. Heather French Henry said, volunteering is at the very core of being a human being. Let me read that again. Volunteering is at the very core of being a human being. No one made it through life without someone else's help. Thanks to our patron, the Honorable Beryl Rochester, Custos Rotolorum, St. Elizabeth. Her continued support is truly appreciated. We're happy she could be with us today. Thanks to Arts Church for the use of their facilities for this meeting, and thank you, this is appreciated. I would be remiss if I didn't say a special thanks to Ms. Edna Coke, one of our executive members. She has been the chief cook and bottle washer in organizing this event today. Couldn't have done it without you, Ms. Edna. And a special thanks to all our guests. We are grateful for your presence. If you light a lamp for someone else, it will also brighten your path. Thank you. Yes, I guess so.
All right. So at this time, us to move for an adoption of the report that was just read. Can someone, Mr. Jones, so move? Can someone second? Can someone second it, please? All right. Thank you so much. And at this time, I'm just going to ask you, can we just give a big round of applause for the St. Elizabeth branch of the Cancer Society? So amazing, and we're really appreciative of all that the time for us to have some entertainment. Are you ready? Do you want some entertainment? All right, so put your hands together and welcome Mr. Glenn Hodgson.
It's an original poem.
First thing first, I must say a pleasant good evening to each and every one. And special thank you for a special invitation like this to be a part of this meeting as an original taxman. So, Ms. Cook contact me and asked me if I could write something about cancer. Heard about cancer, know about cancer, but don't know enough. So I asked, what should I write? So she gave me some details, so I get the pen and paper together and try it. So here I go. Cancer. Pay close attention and make sure this is in your intention. Just try and gather some information and then make up your mind for an early detection. Take this message serious. Cancer could be in any direction. Do an early screening. Then you will get the true meaning of your body, especially your immune system. Good advice is what you should believe in. For us as men, let's think straight, meditate, concentrate, but don't wait until it is too late for us to check out our prostate. Pay the doctor a visit. Just try and set a date. And second guess, ladies, remember your breasts. Check for any changes, nevertheless. If you are hoping to do so, just say yes. You see what I mean? But I hope you understand. There could be cancer in the uterus, but in God we put our trust. Remember, practicing a healthy lifestyle is a must. Remember the motto, healthy living, because life is just for living. Thank you.
Check microphone, check 1, 2. All right, we're in business now.
Clap me, clap me.
All right, thank you so much. We were giving a round of applause for the entertainment. Yes, we were. And I'm going to suggest, sir, that you do a video. You need to do a video of you doing the poem, Mr. Hodgson, so that the Cancer Society can use it for promotion, because it's lovely. It is. Another round of applause. All right, so now it's time to get down to some even more serious business. We have our very able guest speaker with us, and it's almost time to hear from her. And so at this time, I invite to officially introduce her, Mrs. Edith Cheddar. Please put your hands together as Mrs. Cheddar comes.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I need to lower this a little bit. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, wonderful. I'm quite comforted. This is a bio for Dr. Suzanne Shirley Newnan. She attended, can I say it right? St. Andrew High School for Girls. I got it right? St. Andrews High School for Girls. She did her undergraduate and postgraduate studies at the University of the West Indies, Mona. Her qualifications are, she did her MBBS, where she was awarded an honors, and she did it at UWI, and she also did her DM in pathology at the University of the West Indies as well. Her appointments: academic, senior lecturer at the University of the West Indies since August 1, 2005 to present. She lectured at the University of the West Indies from August 1, 1999 to July 31, 2004. She is a consultant pathologist at the University of Hospital of the West Indies from August 1, 1999 to present. Her areas of research and publications: 1, breast pathology; 2, cytopathology; and 3, autopsy pathology. Her extracurricular interests are: she's an organist. She plays at the Anglican community of the University Chapel at Mona. Seems to spend a lot of her time at UWI. But we're happy to have her with us, almost said worshiping with us. I'm happy to have her with us this afternoon as our guest speaker. Please come along, Dr. Shirley Newman.
Good afternoon, everyone. I can say all protocol observed, I believe, especially as some of the special guests have given their apologies, but certainly want to say a very big thank you to you for this opportunity to share with you this afternoon. Invitation coming through Mrs. Marjorie Reynolds and Mrs. Hendricks, and it is very good to be here. Thank you to Mrs. Shedder for the introductory bio. It is good to be here for a number of reasons. Maternal roots lie in Peter Cross as part of the Gordon family, so there's that side of things. And so I feel very much at home in this parish, but I just want to, working today will be a further part of encouragement for you. In my conversations, preliminary conversations with Mrs. Reynolds and Mrs. Hendricks, I realized that you had not had a pathologist speak to you before, and that the encouragement to my invitation has come through my very good friend, who is Mrs. Andrea Reed, who is sitting here. You may know her as the spouse of a certain Reverend Tony Reed, but she's my bona fide sister friend. And so I also thank Andrea for the encouragement to cancer deaths, mortality from cancer, which globally again was just under 10 million. The other thing that this graph or diagram does is it's showing us the major cancers for both men and women. So nothing has changed significantly over the past few decades. If reasons why we should not be seeing cervix, I'm sure you've heard this as well, and maybe we'll get into that a little bit more later on. Very, very important, and because it's affecting both sides, is colorectal cancer. Just continues to be a major factor. And on the male side, it is lung and prostate. And the truth is that these figures, apart from cervix, they tend to be global and seen in most parts of the world. The thing with cervix is because where cancer screening is going very well for cervix, they're seeing less and less of 10 million people dying from cancer. Those are very, very significant numbers. But the next slide, also it's very important, and we don't see prevalence figures reported very often. Many studies, as I said, are going to tell you how many new cases you have, how many people are dying. But prevalence is also. But if you look at the bottom line, are you seeing the bottom line? It's saying that the prevalence that the cancer crisis is still absolutely with us. Next slide. And so the global survey died from the disease. Bringing it home, February 20th, just last month, Minister Tufton reporting in the Observer that the number of people being treated, that more people are being treated, but of course it is the matter that more people, more resources are needed. We do have to, how do we manage this ongoing crisis? So I think it's fair to say that we have a cancer crisis. On the other side, what is the pathologist's perspective? And I present my perspective today. So the question comes, who is a...
Somebody who, when you have them, they cut them and see what they died from.
Okay, got that? So we're the people who deal with the dead. There we go. As I would say to my class, go to the head of the class. Go to the head of the class. So we can, it's important to know what pathology actually is. So next slide. That helps to answer the question. And you can just go through here. So what is pathology? Pathology is a study of disease, all diseases. So what we're interested in as pathologists, we're interested in the cause, disease causation, the pathways that the diseases develop. We are very important in diagnosis and in helping to understand what the outcomes are. So when we teach, and so those of us who are at the university, we have the teaching responsibilities to teach the upcoming doctors, the medical students. We teach them pathology for all of their time at UWI. This is what we're doing. We're teaching them every disease, every system. We're teaching them about what can cause disease, how diseases develop, how do we make the diagnosis? In other words, what does the disease look like in the tissues and organs? And how do we, in looking at the tissues and organs, determine what are the possible outcomes for patients? So, just to be clear, a pathologist, and there are different branches of pathology. I am an anatomical pathologist, which is the most common type, and we are all medical doctors, so we're all medically trained, and then we have additional training in pathology, and we examine, an anatomical pathology examines tissues and organs from patients. So when I tell people most of my work is with living patients, it's with all of these biopsies, all of the diagnoses that need to be made, all the pap smears that need to be, abnormal pap smears must be seen by a pathologist to render diagnosis, but not just diagnosis. And I'll speak a little bit more about this as we go. There are other aspects that in our reporting help the clinicians to decide what to do. So our sphere of operation, somebody did say it correctly, is a laboratory, but there are many other types of laboratories. So you have microbiologists, for example, who focus on infectious diseases and so on. But this is our place of operation. We do operate in the laboratory where the specimens from the patients come to us. Yes, we do autopsies, and historically that is the most well-known branch of anatomical pathology, but it is, and the forensic pathologists work exclusively with autopsies. So all of the medical legal cases and so on that they do, and they have specially trained forensic pathologists who do that. We do autopsies, part of our teaching and so on, but most of our work is with living patients. The The reason why, again, I think people don't know much about us is most people have never met their pathologist. The name cancer comes from crab at its root, and that's because cancers spread and send their. That's what the radiologist is seeing. That's what the radiologist is seeing. Those are actually calcifications. And what we do, because the radiologist can't feel it, the surgeon can't feel it, the surgeon can't feel it, what we get are called the core needle biopsies. And we do this for breast, we do them for prostate, we do them for all sorts of tissues. The radiologist can do them, the surgeons can do them. What it is, it's taking a core of tissue. So you can see that there on the right, it's about 5 cores of tissue. They're little cylinders. They would be about the size of about the length of one of your nails. And all 5 cores could probably fit on your thumbnail. Yes? But these are cores of the abnormal area that are taken out and sent to the pathologist. So, again, we're looking under the microscope. In our diagnosis, there's a slide on the microscope. But I like this image because it shows in the background the computer. And pathology, medicine is of course evolving to embrace the technology. So we're moving to digital pathology. The AI is coming in, and ultimately I think it will be good because if we can get this at a cost-effective kind of rate, I think it will make pathology as well as other disciplines more efficient in what we're doing, able to handle more cases at a time, although it will still be the pathologists, at least for our lifetime, saying what the actual diagnosis is. So this is what I see. So one of my special areas is breast pathology, not just breast cancer, but breast pathology. And just a little statistic, 10%, and this is global, and we have shown this in our studies at UWI as well, globally, 1 in 10 of every breast abnormality will be cancer. So that's a good statistic, 10%, which means that there's a 90% chance in going in for something like a breast biopsy, it will actually be benign. However, you have to balance that with the fact that it is a lot of breast disease. So we see a lot of breast cancer. It's still #1 because it affects so many women, globally and regionally. But there are the 90% of breast pathology that we see, thankfully somebody mentioned fibrocystic earlier on, we see there are a lot of benign breast diseases that we also see. But this is breast cancer. So this is something we see under the microscope very routinely. But when I see this, I'm really happy because it is cancer. But what it's doing is the cancer cells are actually staying in the duct. The breast is made for milk production. That is the sole purpose of the breast. And therefore it has a complicated system of ducts that are designed to bring milk to the nipple. And the cancers develop within, most of the cancers develop within that duct system. If the cancer stays in the duct, and we call this ductal carcinoma in situ, I don't know if anybody has ever heard that term, or DCIS, it means that the cancer is staying in the duct, and that's where we like it. That's why we want the screens, because we want to be picking up breast cancer when it's still, if it's going to happen, it's still in the duct system. If you look at the next slide, however, this now is when it has gone outside of the duct, what we call the invasive forms of cancer. And I'm showing you breast cancer today, the pictures, but this could be colon cancer, it could be prostate. They're doing the same thing, where the cancer cells start going into the tissues around where it's coming from. So this, and then I heard earlier about HER2 in breast. HER2, standard of care. And the good thing is that the National Health Fund does support these tests. for patients who can't afford it, but every breast cancer patient must have it. So it's an aggressive form of breast cancer. Aggressive form of breast cancer. This is a direct test. It's now the even more special test about tissue. So we're getting tissue, we're getting breast cords, we're getting prostate. Cytology is very important. I've been hearing all after what we call cancer. It explains the whole issue why it is a sexually transmitted disease, etc. Again, we're not going to get into that today, but if you look at, I think it was Mrs. Reynolds' report, you will see these things on the pap smear results. So most of the pap smears were normal, so I wouldn't have seen it. Normal pap smears are seen only by the technologist. If there's an abnormality, it must come to a pathologist to be signed out, and there are some abnormalities there. You see that one called L-SIL? The L-SIL. So this would be a typical L-SIL where we're actually seeing, the major thing we're seeing is features of it. All we're seeing is the cells. We're not seeing tissues. What the biopsy is going to be able to do is give us back the architecture and tell us where the abnormality must always be followed by a biopsy, which is going to tell us more concretely exactly what the abnormality is. Okay? It's another use of cytology. We don't only do pap smears, we do a lot of, for example, like we do a lot of work with thyroid, in needle tests of the thyroid, where we're just seeing the cells again. And then some of our patients actually have exactly how far this cancer has spread. So, the cancer crisis, a pathologist's perspective. Remember what pathology is? So we're studying disease, keep going. We're looking at causes, we're looking at how these things develop, we're making diagnosis, and then outcomes. So again, we play a very important role with trying to help clinicians determine exactly where this cancer is and how far it has spread. So this is just a diagram showing us once the cancer becomes invasive. So remember, this a whole determined. This may be one of the more disturbing ones, and it's paradoxical because there are some spaces. I don't have the pointer from here, but it actually has the abnormal cells sitting in the spaces. Can you see that? No. I'm gonna go up. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna go up. So all of this is normal breast. All of that is normal. But see these spaces? Yes. So that's actually cancer cells sitting in the blood spaces. So that's not good. And what on the right-hand side, we just use an immunotechnique. That brown line confirms that that's a vessel. And that's actually cancer cells sitting in the vessel. So that's never good for us because next slide, it means that there's a good chance that it has gone to the lymph node. So this is a lymph node from the axilla, the armpit of a breast cancer patient. So the has come in to the lymph node. What they will always want to know from us, the oncologists, the surgeons, the clinicians will want to know how many lymph nodes did you see, how many were involved, what's the size of those deposits. All of that has significance when it comes to deciding how we're going to manage this patient. So outcomes, pathology, interested in what is this disease, how did it happen, how did it develop, what does it look like, how do we diagnose it, what is the outcome. When I'm teaching the postgrads, and they're coming up to exam time soon, I say to them, we need you to know what is the outcome. Not just what the disease looks like, but what does it mean if we see. Mentioned colon cancer early on. All of these, the next few slides are just going to be saying the same thing. If we find it early, we have the greater chance for survival. The finding is late, 90% versus 40% in terms of mortality for the late stage cancers. This is, I think it was a British study, and they are saying we can do better with cervix. Everybody can do better with cervix. The reality is the pap smear is the most successful screening test of all time, because you still have a test. I heard it today, $1,300 a test. You know, there's nothing running in that range when you think about breast, prostate, colon. There's nothing in that range in terms of affordability for a cancer that's still so prevalent. And if we can screen, and the British showed this, if we can screen every woman of childbearing age, even in the middle, what it's showing you is subsequent to breast cancer screening being introduced, the more incidence of cancer to rise. Because if you go looking for something, you're going to find it. So in other words, you can have, I believe, 2 or 3 at St. Anne's Bay. We have 2 at Spanish Town. This is how small we are, folks. There are, I think, there are just 2 private labs handling what we handle. Not just blood. Blood is different. This is talking about the tissue diagnostics. We're really, really small. We have been hit by the issue with the resources. Picture, please. All of this lab equipment takes a lot to maintain. What problems we have at UE? Straightforward. It's called the Jamaica Public Service Company, that when they go to send jolts of high voltage, no matter what surge protector we have, cannot manage. So just the maintenance of these very, very expensive pieces of equipment, it's a big part of what we have to do. When those machines go down, I can't see the slides. I can't get the slides, and it's what happens. So we need the support and the resources. Next slide. We're going to need the support to develop, not just maintain, but develop the services so we can become digital. We can be much more efficient across the island in terms of how we're turning out results. Next slide. And then it's just to remind everyone that there are many different branches of pathology, but that gray rim on the outside, those are all of our support staff. So we can't do what we do as pathologists without our technologists. They are our right hand, left hand, foot, everything. If they're not present to run those machines, to turn out those slides, to give us the best quality slides, we can't do what we need to do. So there are all of these supports. We need pathologists, we need support staff. So just to put things in perspective, we have the mobile mammogram. We're doing lots of mammograms. If we're finding lots of abnormalities, what then? What then? Because who is going to read the abnormalities? So it's not just the radiology services that need support. It is the pathologists that need support and the lab services in general. And I end with, next slide. So you can just stop here. We heard from the poet earlier. And art and beauty, of course, are very important parts of the support for the journeys in cancer. This is one of my favorite books. It's a picture of some...
There are questions. Do you have any questions for? Process it first and then you come back and they ask you the questions. I just want to be sure though, are there any questions out there? Anything at all you'd like to ask? Anything you would
hope though you have working hard, so we do really need the support.
Sorry, this is not a pathology test question per se. Acetic acid test.
Diagnostic test there.
Water down here, and they put it in our own language or whatever, and then come back to you, and we will get something more refreshing to look at, and give it and say, oh my God, I have to, and so and so. It's very, very good. That's why I am saying we have swallowed a lot but we have to deal with it properly.
Okay, there's a question right here. There's a question right here. You may go. Me?
Yes, please.
Okay. Doc, you spoke about childbearing women as it relates to tests for cancers. Can you speak about, speak about generally, women generally. So is there an age limit? So like older women, are they less susceptible or is there more prevalent in childbearing women than women who are, say, menopausal women?
Okay. So the reference I actually made was to pap smears. So just to clarify, I was saying that there have been studies which have shown that if as a population, so this is for nationwide screening, you can get every woman of childbearing age to do one pap smear, it can significantly reduce. Because please remember, you're doing 1,000 women. I don't know what the population in St. Elizabeth is. But the truth is that there are a lot of women who are not being screened at all. We have women who are being screened every 3 to 5 years with a pap smear, and that's excellent. The problem is that group that have never received a pap smear. And the studies have supported one pap smear in your lifetime can make a difference. As far as women in general are concerned, the different cancers have different recommendations, so like breast, whereas, and this was a fight for a long time, many of the first world countries said start at 50. Remember what I said earlier about recognizing that for some populations we do have younger cancers. So in the States, black women have much less cancer than white women, but they have much more aggressive cancer and cancer that arises earlier. So hence the recommendation for us, definitely we are bad at that lower limit of the 40. We suggest that women start at 40. If your mother or sister though is a young breast cancer, you need to start 10 years younger than her. So if your mother was diagnosed at 40, your screening as a first degree, as her daughter, needs to start at 30. So there are some nuances as far as the screening goes. For colon, we generally say 50 for both sexes. So it varies a little bit. And it's important, it's important to know your family history, because things like that can influence when you actually start screening.
Can I share something with us? Of the 1,056 ladies who came to do their pap smears, 2024, 4 were from the under 20 age group.
Wow. Yeah.
4. From the 21 to 29 age group, 53. 133 did for the 30 to 39 age group. The 40 to 64 saw 700 and almost 30 ladies. The 65 and over, and most of these ladies are being sent by their doctors, and some of them are doing a pap smear for the first time. So that's the reality we have in the parish for persons doing their pap smears. And so we are encouraging our ladies, young ladies, you all, to encourage them to do their pap smears. Whatever it is, whatever their reason is for not doing it, is not for us to judge, but the doctors at the hospitals are encouraging them to come and have their pap smears done.
Thanks for that, Mrs. Shedden. Certainly I noticed it in the stats there, and maybe it's something to look at as a society, is how to target the young ones, because of course it's not uncommon for us to see a 17 and 18-year-old, she is gravida 3, para 3. Do you know what that means? No. She's 17 and she's gravida 3, para 3. She's been pregnant 3 times and she has had 3 children. the more, and remember we're talking about a sexually transmitted agent. So it has all the parameters, you know, multiple partners, go on and on and on. But so that young group is a concern in terms of perhaps the education. I'm not sure what kind of strategies you want to take, but it is concerning because you're going to have a lot of positive cases in that younger age group. So we have cancer syndromes, we have cancers that occur together. Actually, breast and cervix is not common, but breast and colon. And their families, so there are families that will have a specific kind of profile. They have breast, they have colon, they have sometimes ovary. So there are cancer groupings that occur within families. And again, it goes back to the genetics. What we know is going to be the genetics. Or is that endometrium? Endometrium is in that group as well. Yes?
A question?
I was just going to ask, does nutrition play an important part in
agents? But in many, there isn't really an age limit, and especially if there are symptoms. I think you heard Mrs. Cheddar say that the clinicians were requesting send the patient for the pap smear. So if there are symptoms, if there's some bleeding, if there's some other abnormality, they will request a pap smear. So there's really, if, you know.
Are there any other questions? Can we have another round of applause for our guest speaker, Dr. Suzanne Shirley Newman, Senior Lecturer and Consultant Pathologist at the University of the West Indies, Mona. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the section of the agenda where we will do the election of officers, and as such, I invite the current committee to stand at this time, headed by Chairperson Mrs. Marjorie Reynolds, Treasurer Mrs. Leonie Nemhard, Secretary Mrs. Judith Hendricks, Public Relations Mrs. Edith Cheddar, President of the Santa Cruz Zone Dr. Yvonne Perriel Mapp, Coordinator for the Malvern and Monroe Zone Mrs. Beryl Cameron, Member Mrs. Edna Cook, Member Miss Claudette Slowly, and Member Miss Josette Jones. Can we have a round of applause for these hard-working executive members? Yes, indeed. I want to thank you for all you have done over the period 2024 to 2025. At this time, this current administration is hereby dissolved. As we move forward to the year 2025-2026, we therefore ask the availability and willingness of all you members who are standing. Gonna sit down already? Gonna tie already? All right, so we hereby ask the availability and willingness of each of you to serve for the upcoming year 2025 to 2026. Yes. All right, a round of applause. Thank you so much. You may be seated. And so we continue in this stead with Mrs. Marjorie Reynolds as Chairman, Ms. Edith Cheddar as Public Relations Officer, Mrs. Leonie Nemhard as Treasurer, Mrs. Judith Hendricks as Secretary, Dr. Yvonne Perriel Mapp as President of the Santa Cruz Zone, Mrs. Ivory Dwyer has committed to continuing as Vice President of the Santa Cruz Zone, Mrs. Beryl Cameron, Coordinator of the Malvern Monroe Zone, Mrs. Edna Cope, Ms. Claudette Slowly, Mr. Gary Cowan, and Ms. Josette Jones as members. Can we have another round of applause for committee that will take us forward?
Sorry, I had meant to mention that Mrs. Cynthia Hill, we're wondering if you would be willing to accept being co-opted onto the committee. Is that what we're doing, Judith? We did. We had co-opted her on, and we wonder if she's willing to serve this year as well. Yes. She wasn't on our sheet because she was a co-opted member during the year. Congratulations to the team. Happy to have you on board again. And as I said, anyone here willing to work with a zone this end? A problem, of course, is to find someone willing to take up the leadership role. We have many people, several people interested, but the leadership role is always a challenge. Mrs. Cynthia Hill is there. She's willing to help coordinate things. Jacette is there. She's willing to help coordinate as well, but we need someone who is willing to take up the leadership role. And I really do pray that we'll find that person. It makes such a difference. When Dr. Matt took up the Santa Cruz zone that had been ailing for a while because their president had basically retired, it made such a difference. It made such a difference when we could relaunch the zone, and they've been very active and doing a lot for our visibility, as I said. Thank you very much. Team members, we're going to get pictures at some point this evening, so please don't go. And here we go. Thanks, Casmarine.
She was taking over from me a bit there, right? Yeah. All right, in true leadership style. All right, so at this time, I invite Public Relations Officer Mrs. Edith Cheddar to extend courtesies. Mrs. Cheddar?
My able assistant, Dr. Yuna, can I ask you to come forward, please? It's in the back. It's in the back.
Okay, just say this way.
Dr. Yuna, it was a delight of ours to have had you speak to us this evening. We have learned a lot. I'm sure those persons with their different meanings of pathologist had their meanings answered. And so that now they can speak to the different areas. This beautiful basket is for you. It is from St. Elizabeth. And can I tell you there is more, but you know, we didn't think she would be able to handle it. But we'll get it to her car somehow. And thank you again for coming and sharing with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all.
Can I call her my roomie, Mrs. Sharon Williams Brown? Roomie from years. 40 odd years ago. This is my roomie before lots of things have happened. This is from Knox. Shortly after end of school, during my National Youth Service years.
Yes, I was a little bit ahead of you.
Right. So, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. Thank you for your encouragement as well. There is hope. There is hope. Thank you. Thanks, Sharon. Mr. Hodgson, our poet, Glenn. Glenn, you also gave us hope. What do you call you? The taxi man. The taxi man. Glenn, you also gave us hope. Thank you for being with us and for sharing as well, and continue to do. And what the suggestion about getting it on video is so good. We hope you'll be able to get that done and share it with us further. Casmarine. Oh, she has been with us so many years, and we are so thankful. We found the right color to go with her beautiful dress, as usual. You always inspire us. After each section, I look forward to your word of encouragement. And so we thank you on behalf of the Cancer Society. Thank you so much. I'm handing over the mic to her.
Okay. Can we have a round of applause for Mrs. Cheddar? All right, so it's been a wonderful evening, but unfortunately all good things must come to an end. All right, and so to do the honors of the vote of thanks, we invite Dr. Yvonne Perelmap. Please put your hands together as she comes.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening.
This is an educational and splendid function, and I'm sure you want me to express our sincere thanks to those who have contributed to make this evening a success. To our guest speaker, Dr. Susan Shirley Newham, thank you so much for giving me my first class of the others in medicine, for your educational and well-researched information. Yes, with causes, the pathway, diagnosis, and the outcomes. And of course, we have the takeaway. We need to screen. And ladies and gentlemen, we need to do our screening. Early detection saves life. Thank you so much. To our moderator who slipped outside, thank you for the orderly way you would have directed this program. It let us know that order is still going on here in Jamaica. And we are grateful for you coming year after year to be here with us. We are grateful. To our Reverend Orlando Gale, we are grateful for the way you set the stage for this function. Yes. Faith, hope, healing. Yes. We are grateful because without God, nothing can be done. With God, all things are possible. So we are grateful. The welcome, we feel honored to be here, Mrs. Reynolds, and we thank you because you set the stage. We are grateful for our Custos Rotolorum, and I will say from our JP standpoint, after burial, we don't say honorable, we leave out to say be Hope Rochester for gracing our presence this afternoon, and we know she have to go away on that because she has other engagement, but she made sure she's here. She was here. For Kansas and the other, Mr. Brissett, one of the only mayor that's here, and we're grateful because among the roses we have some thorn, and we are grateful. And you know, we can't do without them because they're here to help us. We thank you. Our cancer survivor, Mrs. Sharon
Williams Brown, the 3 F's, faith, family, and friends. I'll never forget that. And that keep us going. Physician would be 4. P8. Yes, the physician that really, all the questions were answered. Thank you so much. Or poet. I'm telling you, I don't know which business would be better if you stay in the line of poetry or tax business. I'm telling you, we'll get more money for the taxi service, but it was well entertained, and we are very grateful to have you here this evening. We are grateful for this setting, the ambience and everything, and we must say thank you to the members of St. Mark's Anglican Church for setting the stage for us this evening, because without this stage we wouldn't have any gathering here, and so we are grateful. We are also grateful for those who provided refreshment and all the others who contributed to make this function a success. We know we cannot individually thank each one, but we are grateful. And so, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being so gracious an audience. Thank you. And it was my pleasure to propose this vote of thanks. And I was sincerely benefited, and I know all of you benefit from here this evening. Thank you. Thank you all, and have a wonderful evening.
And thank you too, Dr. Perelman. Can we have a round of applause for her, please? Ladies and gentlemen, we have exhausted all the items on the agenda here at the Jamaica Cancer Society St. Elizabeth Branch Annual General Meeting for 2025. And as such, I hereby ask someone to move for this meeting to be terminated. Dr. Perelman so moves. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been an honor and a privilege to be with you at this very enriching and enlightening occasion. Normally, like Mrs. Cheddar said, I have a whole heap of quotes from all over the world. This year I'm going to just leave it right here in Jamaica as a cultural lover and a cultural activist. I just want to remind you, after all the wealth of information that you've had, I want you to leave thinking about our national motto. Out of many, one people. Amen. Despite our backgrounds, our last names, whatever it is, we really are one family. Thank you so much for being here. Have a safe travel home, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Can the team just come up front before we start serving refreshments? Quickly, because our refreshments are at the back. But if we can just have come up for a few quick pictures, it would be nice to get a picture with our guest speaker and survivor as well. Anything else, Team members, please come up for